Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are, and welcome to Chattering with Nicholas Vince. And today I'm chattering with Mike Dixon and Anna McCarthy from Mycho Entertainment.
Hello.
Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
I love the red lighting, I have to say.
I thought it was, to be honest, I was going to make an excuse and say, like, well, you know, we thought, as the way our films are lit, we thought we'd, you know, we'd kind of do it. But the truth is that I bought red bulbs for one that fit one light and normal bulbs that fit the other. So it just so happens these are the only two lights we had available.
They're great. It's really effective, and it brings out the colour.
We don't have any bulbs in our actual lights in our house.
No, that's true. Yeah, so we only have coloured bulbs in our house at the minute.
And is that just part of the kind of the ongoing thing of being micro-budget filmmakers? Is that?
Oh yeah, well you just start to kind of go, oh well, what have we got left from set that we can use to stay alive?
Or
really?
what can we take from our house to use on set?
Yeah.
So it kind of becomes your world, for,
yes.
You know, 24/7.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll talk about a little bit more about that in a few moments. Before we do, I just wanted to share with people what's happening on the show in the next month or so. Next weekend is Easter, and I've absolutely sworn I'm not eating any chocolate. Really avoiding chocolate.
Why?
Because it affects my complexion entirely. I've been eating.
Is it covered in chocolate?
Yeah, that's a smear, really, like a 6-year-old boy with chocolate and all my hands and sticky fingers and so on. Yeah, so no show next week, but after that, Izzy Lee, the director of Innsmouth and A Favour, which was at the Fright Fest last year, which is brilliant, lovely short funny horror film, and Innsmouth, which features Tristan Risk. I'll be chatting with Izzy Lee, and incidentally, Izzy's film Innsmouth has been nominated for a Rondo Award, and you have until the 10th of April to get your Rondo Award votes in. After that, Rob Nevitt, festival director for Celluloid Screams and Celluloid Screams, will be joining me. He's also a filmmaker, and we're chattering about, you know, the way that the two feed each other. Then following that, Abigail Blackmore will be joining me. She's the director of a film called Vintage Blood, which has been seen a couple of times in London recently. We've seen it at Women in Horror recently. It's really very funny. A short film which is entering the festival circuit, and talking to her about that and the joys of trying to get a feature film together as well. But yes, so that's what I've got coming up. So let's kind of roll back and let's just start at the very beginning. Let's talk about the Mychoverse and how all that started. Is that a good place to start?
Yeah, no, it's probably the perfect place to start, really. I guess when I was really young, I was really obsessed with comic books and slash movies, and they were like my two biggest loves in the world.
Right.
And like every young film fan, I was obsessed with the idea of of Hellraiser and Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street all existing in the same world, and these characters kind of fighting it out like comic book heroes do. You know, issue to issue, they'd meet each other. And it was always just something I was really, it was kind of a combination of the two things that I really loved when I came up with it. And then, I mean, this is going way before cinematic universes were kind of a thing. You know, this is, I started kind of developing this in about 1999, I think, when I was very, very young. Never ever thinking I'd get any of these things off the ground, but I really did kind of it became a kind of a bit of a passion. And then in about 2005, I decided that I was just going to try and do it. And the idea was to, those cheap kind of shot on video movies you used to get on the bottom shelf of Blockbuster.
Right.
The idea was to supply those kind of bottom shelf movies with these different characters in. So you'd have like a Hollower movie and a Killer Clown movie and a Thorn movie. And they'd all be, the idea was to supply Blockbuster with these films and never tell anyone they were connected. And then every so often you'd do something like Slasher House. And the idea was that you'd kind of create like a kind of backdoor shared kind of universe that no one really knew existed unless you were really paying close attention. And it was just kind of a silly idea that I kind of liked, and it just kept kind of going and going and going. And I kept trying to just get the first movie off the ground, which was the Thorn movie. And then in 2009, I found out that there were two films that were really similar to the premise of Slasher House in production, or about to go into production through various news magazines, you know, back when magazines were where you got your movie news from. And I found out about these two films, and I thought, crap, like Slash House is like the best idea. The idea was to kind of culminate all these characters in one movie. And so I just kind of thought, right, okay, well, it's kind of now or never. I've kind of got to go and do it now and worry about the fact that I was trying to build this universe later. And that's essentially kind of how it all started, really.
So which was the first film that you made?
Slash House.
Slash House. And that is part of Mycho Entertainment. And how long, what sort of budget did you have? Well, actually, no, where did you film it? None.
We filmed it on the Isle of Man.
Right.
And that was only because kind of UK governments and councils are like have got like a bit of a stick up their arse about, I don't know whether I'm allowed to say that.
You can say that. Right, that's okay.
It's out of the bag. About health and safety and stuff, which as a young filmmaker you don't really care about. And so nowhere would let us shoot here. And the Isle of Man, we had a contact there, and he went and found us a place, and they just said, "Oh, we don't care about any of that. You know, come on over." So we expected to raise about 25 grand to make it, and it had been written as a kind of like a you know, like £1 million movie for me to kind of maybe ship to a studio or something. And we kind of said, "Oh, well, what can we do it on?" So it was 25 grand, we thought, and we couldn't raise that. So we thought, well, can we do it on 20? Can we do it on 15? Can we do it on 10? And then we found out we've gone to the Isle of Man, and we'd raised about 5 grand, and we kind of said, okay, like we just got to, that's our budget, then we have to do it on that. And so not only did we shoot on 5 grand, but we took our entire cast and crew to another country to do it.
So how big was the cast and crew?
Our cast and crew were about 8 people. Some of the crew were also cast.
Right.
Which was a big part of our kind of casting process. Was it became, how useful are you in terms of being an actor, but also what other relevant skills do you have? And we had a crew. We originally had a crew set up of about 25 people, and we whittled it down to 5, and some of those crossed over as cast and things as well.
And whereabouts did you actually? Because it's an amazing location that you're working in. It looks like a prison. Is that right?
Prison, yeah.
It's demolished now. It's gone.
It was demolished on the day Slasher House came out in the UK.
Oh, really?
Yes, spooky.
It was Adam who you met, who was the contact in the Isle of Man.
Right.
And he sent us pictures of it being demolished, like on the day Slasher House came out.
Oh, wow, that's extraordinary.
Slasher House, right?
No,
it was scheduled. So how long between the actual filming and the demolition in that case?
We shot in July 2010 was the main shoot.
Right.
And then it took us about another 2 years to get Eleanor back with her schedule to shoot the rest of it and get it all cut together. So it was 3 years. Yeah, it was May 2013 when they knocked it down. It was about 3 years in between us shooting there and them turning it down. They condemned it as we left, though.
Literally, just and it was
they came in and said no one else is allowed in here. You know, this place is
not
being
after
condemned.
you've been here.
So,
Grief.
I don't know if that was anything to do with us, but I know that the fire department on the Isle of Man weren't happy with us being there. So I think we'd started a kind of tug of war between these two factions while we'd been there.
So how long? So how many days were you actually in the prison filming there?
We were there for 3 weeks.
Right.
The first week was prep, and then we shot for 14 days, I think.
And what And what equipment were you using? What did you actually film on?
We borrowed a bunch of big TV camera kind of things from the university that I'd recently graduated from, as a kind of bit of a backup. But what I actually did was bought an entry-level DSLR, and this is when nobody would even consider on shooting on one.
Right.
And I bought it from Argus on my credit card, and kind of said, right, I kind of think we can shoot it on this. And everyone looked at me with kind of raised eyebrows. So what we did is we spent the first week while we were building props and stuff, and we shot a little short film which featured a kind of early incarnation of Cleaver, called Clowning Around 2.
Right.
Which is a sequel to a previous kind of test film that we'd done. And we just went and shot like a test film and cut it together and tried out everything with it while we were there, and made sure the workflow was kind of all working, because there was nothing on the internet about how to do any of this, because like I think we were about the third feature ever shot on an SLR at the time, even though we weren't the first released or the third released. We were like, no one was using them, and we just kind of, we'd heard about this being a possibility, and they just looked so much better than these £1,000 cameras that we had. So we just kind of took a chance and shot it on those. And
I see. So you were doing the camera work, I presume.
yes, that's right.
Yeah. So you're directing, doing cameraman, and I think your official title is supervising producer, but you also appear in the movie.
Oh well, yeah. I wasn't around for the main shoot. I met Mike after that.
Okay.
He was like, I need a girl to be dead in a bath.
Was this his chat up line when you first met?
Yeah, basically.
Classic.
Kind of. It was quite close after we got together. I kind of think that was the only reason he asked me out. But anyway. So that's a problem for some therapists. So I did that, and then he had a producer leave, so I took over getting it sold to distributors and getting it publicised. And getting it distributed in the UK and America. Right.
And you, okay, so with the obviously the stage that we've skipped out is you're doing editing. So Mike, you did the editing as well.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and what did you use?
In terms of
the actual app.
I use an entry-level iMac and like a 5-year-old version of and a 5-year-old version of Final Cut Pro, that we'd been given at university, and it it wasn't like the most up-to-date thing at all, and it was just kind of, that's all we had, so it's kind of right, well, we just have to kind of have to do it. And like I say, it wasn't, we didn't have anything fancy. It was literally the cheapest computer you could buy, and like an old educational license version of Final Cut, and it all was cut together on that.
And this was, and if I got this right, this is 2010. You did the filming.
The filming, and then it was edited for the next kind of 2 years in bits and pieces.
And what else were you doing during that time? Obviously, you were working, or
I had like a day job. I worked at the bar, and then I worked as a security guy, a guy who gives out keys at a band room. Not a very glamorous job, but it gave me loads of time just to sit and edit, and I'd get paid to do that, which was quite good. And then during that time, though, I did a web series, called Mycho TV. I don't know whether you've seen any of this.
No, I've not seen this. I spotted it on the IMDb when I was doing research. I was going to ask you about this. So tell me about this.
Mike fights invisible ninjas through a whole series of unfortunate events.
Well, yeah, it was like while we were cutting Slash House, we kept kind of making like joke scenarios, like about invisible ninjas. And I had a guy working for me at the time, and he'd be a bit lippy, and I'd say, "Hey, careful! I'm the only one protecting you from all these invisible ninjas," And it was like a bit of a joke, and we just kind of started writing sketches based on it. And then one day they kind of said, should we shoot some of these, some shorts? And I thought, yeah, okay, we'll give it a try. And we kind of stuck it up on YouTube, and people loved it. So it kind of became a thing. So I think we did about 6 or 7. We released 6, but I think we shot about 6 or 7 or 8 episodes, I think.
Right.
A couple never got released, but it was great. It was so much fun, and we were shooting one every week and releasing them, every week. But it was taking too much time away from actually getting this film cut together, because it was a full-time job in itself. So, we it was hard to find the time to juggle the two of them, I think.
Right.
Making Invisible Ninja films now.
I swear the reason I fall over every so often is because of Invisible Ninjas.
It definitely is. Yeah.
I think a whole load of stuff could be laid at the door of Invisible Ninjas.
Yeah.
So you've done the web series. Okay, so you were trying to do that at the same time you were doing a slasher house, and obviously it was taking away. What did you learn from doing web series? Is the web series something you'd look at doing again in the future, or is like?
Oh, definitely. It's something we're looking at now, really, because I think it's certain in terms of content. It's certainly a faster way to get your work to people.
Yeah,
really,
it's a good and quick way to get your audience involved in what you're doing and make them care about what's going on.
And I think one of the biggest problems you have as a filmmaker is, like, Slash House was made in 2010, but it didn't get released till 2013.
Yeah.
And of course, at that point, we've already made Legacy of Thorn, and it looks great, and we go, oh, we're kind of proud of this, because we learned all these from all the mistakes we made on Slash House. But of course, people are going, oh, well, this is wrong and this is wrong. And, you're thinking, oh, that's not me as a filmmaker now. That's me as a filmmaker 3 years ago. And this is the problem with doing features, because when you do shorts, you do it, you start writing on Monday, by Sunday night, it's online and people can enjoy it, and they're getting, a kind of accurate representation of you as a filmmaker. But when you make a feature, it can be, 2, 3, 4, 5 years before your film even hits shelves. But people will never see that. They don't understand that. They just go, oh, so you're kind of presenting your kind of old work, and you'll know as a writer or as any artist knows, your work only improves, because that's kind of the point in artistry is the more you do it, the better you get. So if you're releasing something that you did 5 years ago, it's going to be nowhere near as good as the work you're producing now.
Sure. So we've got a question coming from Joe. Joe, I'm going to ask you a question in just a couple of minutes. But before I do, Anna, you talked earlier on, you mentioned this. So you've got Slasher House, it's taken 3 years, and you're now working on distribution. So how did you work on distribution? What was that process?
I made it up as I went along a little bit, because my background is in law, and that's what I've always done. So I just researched. I got an IMDb Pro account and researched other films that were on the budget and type of Slasher House to see who was releasing them, and emailed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of distributors here and abroad and everywhere. That's what I did, and the same with like horror news places, and just tried to get in touch with as many as possible. And we got a lot of sort of publicity generated from it. We got a lot of that, but it was kind of like learning how to make a film in reverse, because I learned how to try and sell it before actually then going on to produce Legacy of Thorn.
Right.
So I went backwards, like a sort of, I did the end bit first and then started the first bit. And was like, I know how this is gonna end. It'd be horrible. We'd be in a room for a year crying. But
and we did.
There you go. Yeah,
well, that's another story.
Yeah. So I mean, okay. So you're sending out you find it sounds like a very sensible way to approach it. What lesson did you take away from that experience in distribution? What would you do differently, or what did you find the hardest part of that, apart from just constantly getting rejected or getting no response?
Being ignored is usually what you get. I don't know. We were really inexperienced with Slasher House, so we kind of, when we got we fell for people who were, oh no, we're your mate. No, we just want to help independents, and that's why you should sign with us. We can't really give you any actual money. Not actually money, but you can you can have sort of sharing the profits of which we will make sure there is none. So I think that was the hardest thing.
Yeah, we learned a lot of lessons very, very quickly. But in some regards, we learned a lot of them just a little bit too late.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a bit of a payoff, really, because if you go through, the price really these days of having your film on shelves in shops is that you're essentially selling yourself out for exposure.
Yeah.
And so it's really it's a bit of a conundrum, really, because you kind of either go for the exposure or you kind of go out and do it yourself. And
I think for our
that's
first
a bit
film,
of a
it was
slower.
It was good that it was on the shelves of Asda and HMV, and that people would go into shops and physically see it, because it's kind of an impact to make with your first film. But obviously, you want to, if people invest money or time into a film, you want to repay them. And so that's difficult, because people think that if you've got a film released, that you've got loads of money.
Yeah.
And I think we all know, or any filmmakers watching your show will know.
I think the point is that it can't just be about, kind of the capital you're going to make from that. It has to be about something larger than that, So when you're putting your work out there, it definitely has to be.
It was quite exciting going into HMV, and it was weird. It's really surreal. Good though.
Good experience.
Yeah. On the whole, it was good, and we learnt good things. We got a bit jaded and bitter, but we got old. So.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, if you think about the fact that these days. And so this is now, we're talking 2013, which is, and it was 2013 when it actually hit the shelves?
That's right, yeah, May. No, April 29th, I think.
No, it's 5th of May.
Was it 5th? No, they pushed it back. Yeah. It was April 29th.
Yeah, okay. So it's literally coming up for 3 calendar years. All bar a month for that experience now. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about distribution in a moment, but I just want to kind of fix that timeline in my head. Joe has texted in using the hashtag #ChatteringNick. Nick, moving ahead in your promising careers, do you plan to film in other genres? If so, which ones?
I really like this question, because I get asked it all the time. And the kind of beauty of the horror genre is that you can make any kind of film that you like and still stay within that genre, if you know what I mean.
You can make a comedy horror or...
Yeah, and I think Slasher House is like an ensemble movie, so that was quite, that's it's kind of like a battle royale kind of, or House of Frankenstein is kind of what I always compare it to.
I think so.
But then Legacy of Thorn's like an action movie, in the vein of Terminator. Cleaver is more like a cop thriller, and then Hollow is like a psychological thriller, and now Slash House 2 is like a spy movie, and then so we've got plans for like a gangster kind of, like a kind of 50s gangster film, and you can kind of do all that but stay in the same kind of under the same umbrella. So
sure.
For us, that's kind of it's quite a great way to explore new things while still sitting within our boundaries. You have got a lot of
creative freedom in horror, more than you have in other genres, maybe. So you can push its limits.
I'm not saying that you can't do like a sci-fi version of all of these things, but for us, horror's kind of our first love, and then everything kind of gets kind of brought under that umbrella, if you know what I mean.
We'll probably make ninja films.
There will be ninja films.
Well, if you cast invisible ninjas, that's much cheaper.
It really is.
Yeah. Need quite so many visible people.
Yeah. I'd love to see the casting call pro notice wanted invisible ninjas. Yeah. That would make it very good.
See all kinds of invisible.
Yeah. So one of the things that you're doing, so That's a very interesting answer. I had not thought of the horror genre in that way, but just having been to a screening of short films last night is very true. It's very interesting in the different styles. We had comedy, we had humor, we had stalk and slash, all within that very simple, that big, broad description of horror. So you talked about Legacy of Thorn. Legacy of Thorn was the second movie, is that right?
That's right, yeah. Although we did plan for it to be the first. It was originally just called Thorn. I made a short film version of it in 2009.
Right.
It was quite popular. I think we won the scaryorDie.com first prize for best film.
Right.
Which is that, so that everyone started asking us when are we going to do a feature? When are we going to do a feature of it? So I think it was planned originally to be our first one. It's just like I say, Slash House kind of ended up happening first. But then after that, we kind of said, right, well, okay, now's the time to do Thorn. I mean, in terms of Slash House, he was definitely the person people emailed us about the most and said, can we get more Thorn? Can we get more Thorn? So, like we've already been developing this script for a good few years. So we kind of said, right, okay, like now's the time. And I had never produced anything before. So this was like our first venture out together. And we just kind of,
So my first thing was a feature film.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the easiest thing to do.
and okay, so I think you said that Slasher House was about 5,000 eventually in terms of a budget. What was
Legacy was I think it ended up being we raised about $5,000 in crowdfunding, but you don't get $5,000. You get a huge chunk of that comes
just
off
over
the top.
4.
So we ended up with just over 4, and then I think we ended up putting in about $2,000 or $3,000 ourselves. So yeah, it cost us about £6,000 or £7,000 by the time we were done.
We had it rated ourselves. We sent it off to the BBFC ourselves, which cost the best part of £1,000.
Yes, of course. This is something that is being talked about a lot recently because a guy called Charlie submitted
paint drying.
Yeah. just to prove his point that it's ridiculous. And they do actually have to sit there and watch paint drying for, I think he managed to raise enough because it's what, £1?
No, it's six. It's there's a £200, £218 charge, I think, and then it's £6.30 a minute.
Right.
Although I believe that's gone up to about £8 a minute now.
At the time, they didn't. There wasn't the special features law that there is now.
Right.
So because now, obviously, your special features all have to be rated by the minute as well.
Yeah.
Which means that indie films that used to, like you can buy Hellraiser and have documentaries and stuff, which is certainly for us partly what we would get it for. Because you've seen the film, we've watched the film loads, but it's interesting to see how it was made and how much suffering you went through personally. That's good to say.
That's what I'm here for, really.
It's interesting, isn't it, when you watch a film to see how it was made, especially low budget horror, because it's usually quite inventive.
Yeah.
But that's sort of been stopped now because they're charging small people like indie film producers for every special feature they want to put on there. And if you've got a commentary, that's the entire length of the movie. If you've got a featurette, it can be half an hour or something. People don't have the money to do it anymore. So
yeah, and it's taken away essentially what is DVD's only kind of selling quality that's left is it's bonus material. I mean, we watch a lot of stuff on Netflix and Sky and things like that now. So for us, really, the only reason that we buy a DVD is to get our bonus content, and for the titles that you'd want to go and buy, that's now kind of been taken away.
Or if we know the guy who made it, we buy them.
Yeah, do that.
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely.
We've got Pat Higgins movies and Jim Eves movies and stuff.
Piling up on
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for those and obviously we're talking about the UK distribution. And so what is the difference between having a certification and not having a certification?
Well, you just can't release a movie without one.
You can't sell DVDs.
It's completely illegal to sell anything without certification. Like
You can sell it online.
Even then, you can't. You're not allowed to ship anything from the UK.
No, you can sell it on. You can stream it.
iTunes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, of course.
People can buy digital versions of it, but you can't sell a physical DVD unless it's rated by the BBC.
And even then, I mean, there are boundaries with that. If you're trying to sell the file yourself from your own servers, you've got to sign up for I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like a new VAT service that they have set up. So you have to go through a load of legal paperwork and everything. It's an absolute nightmare.
You have to get yourself VAT registered basically and charge VAT, which costs the consumer more. So people are less likely to buy your stuff.
So it's a bit of a minefield, really.
It is. So that is a that's a 20% increase in the cost of tax. So just so VAT registered. So this is if you're selling it yourself.
Yeah.
But so.
If your distributor's selling it, they have to worry about that. But then obviously you're going to be limited in the return that you get.
Right. Okay, so just lost the train of my thought there for just 2 seconds, just because I've just seen something come up, and this is from Johnny. Can I ask which indie filmmakers at the moment are continuously influencing you both to continue filmmaking? I'll rephrase the question.
Honestly, I get this. This is another question I get asked all the time. But I've got a really good answer.
Go on.
I'm influenced by every film that I see, obviously. Because I think you have to be. I think you have to watch it. But there are a few people that really there's a few people that are making stuff at the minute. A guy called Daniel Faliki in America. He works for a distributor that we know out there, which is how we came across him, because he cut the trailer for Slasher House.
Right.
And so that if he hadn't done that, I'd never even know he existed. But he makes these amazing feature. I think he made 3 feature films last year, and the quality of them is it makes me cry, because he's so good and he knocks them out so quickly. He's like I always say, he'd make Roger Corman blush. Really, he just slams them out, and it's not just how many he makes; it's how incredibly good looking they are. They're just amazing. I don't know how he does it. But there's people. I recently did a film with Eileen Daly, and that she directed.
Right.
And she's like a force of nature. If something goes wrong, she fixes it instantly. She's I don't know how to describe it. Filmmaking's kind of like being on a ship that keeps springing leaks, and you're constantly plugging up these holes. And she's just amazing at it. An actor, one of the main characters, decided they weren't turning up on the day, and she fixed the problem instantly. She literally cracked one of the crew and said, "You're playing this character now. Let's move on." And it was just incredible to watch, and I took so much away from that, because I think as a filmmaker you sometimes get kind of caught on the way that you think it should be, and you go, well, I've got to do it this way, and I think sometimes it's just more important to get your film finished, no matter what the case. But I mean, there's so many talented people working in the industry right now, especially in what I consider our industry. Well, people like Jason Impey, I think he's got 92 director credits to his name, and he's again like a force of nature. Just
nothing phases. Well, nothing on our, well, when he works on our shoots, nothing phases him. He's just like, yeah, it's fine. No, we'll sort it out.
But yeah, he just there's just no stopping him. People like Pat Higgins, James Eves, Al Ronald. Again, they're people just working with pennies and making amazing stuff, and these are the guys who inspire me. Like I say, I'm inspired by everything, but these are the guys who rock bottom inspire me. I go these guys are making great stuff, maybe I can go and do that too. And that's kind of where it comes from, I think.
Okay, so we've got I'm just sending out a question. If anybody would like to come on and join us live and ask their questions, I've just sent that question out to everybody. Please.
You have to have coloured lighting though and stuff.
You have to have. Yeah, please. Yes, please run around your house and see if you can find any spare coloured gels that you've got lying around the place.
If anybody needs them. No.
So now, one of the things that you're doing apart from the filmmaking and so on, and we'll come back to some of the other films you've been working on, but you've also been writing the Micro Budget Massacre blog. Have I got that name right?
And we also do a show called the Micro Budget Massacre Masterclass. You can imagine how difficult that is to say live.
I was going to say.
But yeah, no, we've been that's kind of a thing that's resurfaced recently.
Okay, so let me talk, because that actually was going to be the next question about the masterclass as well. So, and I've been reading some of your and sharing some of your blogs on literally what you can do with an iPhone and different lenses and so on. So tell me about the masterclass. What does the masterclass? You've been doing Milton Keynes, is that right?
Yeah, it was about like an hour or so, about an hour and a half long show, and I just literally raced through how to make movies with no money, and and just basically kind of the idea of it was that when I was making films, there's so many people. When I first started out, so many people told me that I couldn't make films. They said, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You don't have this. You don't have that. You don't have that." And I kind of said, "Oh no, but I want to do it, so I'm going to go and do it." And over time, you start doing it yourself, and then other people start telling you why they can't do it, and you say, "No, that's not an excuse." So it really kind of just started off like that, really, just as a way to kind of dispel all these reasons why people can't make films. And so the idea was just really to go, look, we're idiots and we can do it. So
I think people send us messages pretty much daily saying, how do I do this thing?
Yeah.
I need to make, I want to make it look like we've got real guns, but I can't afford replicas. How do we do it? You say buy fake ones and make them look like real ones, like.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like that. Like people seem to need or to want his advice on low budget filmmaking. So it seemed like quite sensible to give it.
I'm like technical support to about 8 different people at the minute. So I kind of said, oh well, I spend all day writing advice down, so I might as well just publish some of it.
Right.
Hopefully that'll help more people and anger loads of people as well. That's another story.
You get some fantastic hate mail.
I do. Like I get more hate mail now than I ever have.
I think from people who are employed in the areas in which you say, no, you don't need that. You can do it yourself for this, on a budget. And they're like, oh, you'll do this out of jobs. And he's like, no, I'm not, because I'm telling people who don't have any money how to do something. They don't have any money. They can't pay you to do. Yeah.
So seriously, people are professional people.
People get very cross with me. Yeah, like I've got a colorist following me around the internet at the minute. Just he'll pop up on here now because I've mentioned it. But just follow me around the internet because I dare to suggest that instead of hiring a colorist, just focus on getting your lighting right on set, which to me makes perfect sense because it means that it's less for you to do in post when you have no money to pay someone to do post for you.
But the blog's aimed at people who are making no budget
absolutely.
films.
It's called it's called the Micro Budget Massacre because it's about making films on very little. Very few. I can't afford a colorist, which is why I do things myself. Which is why I learned to do it myself. So there's very few micro budget filmmakers that I know that can afford, a full-time editor or a full-time sound designer, or it's just not things that are available to you when you're making films on, spit and glue, really. So that was the whole point in it, was just to put something together where I could kind of say, well, look, this is kind of how I do it, and like I say, I'm an idiot, and I can pull it off. So I'm sure that this will help other people realize how easy it is.
You're not that much of an idiot.
Well, yeah, do all right.
Well, I think, but this is what has changed in the technology. Is that there is just been this democratization. Is exactly the same in publishing. That Amazon and iBooks and so on is just allow people to and Smashwords to actually just get books out there. Now we going to be inviting people on to join us in in about 5 minutes or so, but I just wanted to ask a few more questions before I do. And one of the ones was that in terms of, we touched on distribution, the difficulty of certification and so on. So how do you approach distribution now? What are you still going to stick with the idea of doing DVDs for the latest releases, or will you just sell them?
Something that we've really been thinking about over the last few days.
We're still undecided, to be honest. We've got some distributors interested in all the films in various global territories, but particularly in the 2 new ones. So we're trying to, we're talking to them about that at the moment, just trying to get some kind of fair deal, so that there's a good release for all the actors involved, but also that potentially the actors involved can actually get financial benefit to it.
Yeah, and I think the biggest problem is that a lot of these distributors are. I'll start with the down, and then we'll bring it back. But you get held to ransom basically, because what happens is they say, "Here's a terrible offer," and you say, "Thank you for your terrible offer. Can you give me this slightly less terrible offer?" And they go, "Oh, if you don't want our terrible offer, then, who do you think you are?" And so this is a constant that you find, because people really don't want to give you anything. What they really want is your film to go and make some money off, and they don't really care about what happens to you at all. And as any actors who've worked with us, yourself included, will know that we really care about,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And so we want that to extend into who we work with to release our films. And so I think we came, this is frustrating, because we kind of came to a decision that, screw these guys, basically. We can do this on our own because we've done it before. And it's just really hard work when you're also making films, is the problem, because it's kind of like running 2 or 3 different businesses at once. So we kind of sat down and said, look, we can do this on our own, and we know we can. And then out of the blue the other day, we got an offer or a potential offer from someone. So now we're kind of sat on the fence again, just waiting to see how this pans out. But again, a little bit of courtesy goes a long way, and these guys have been very courteous to us with their approach, and they've been very very polite. And it amazes me now that that's all it takes for me to consider going into business with someone, is they just have to be polite a little bit. Because literally over the last couple of years, we've just met really rude people who just go, "Give us your film for nothing, and if you don't want to, then to hell with you," and it's but that's what it's become. In the last 3 years since we released Slasher House, the UK distribution has been absolutely decimated. It's like an apocalyptic wasteland out there. It really is. Like it's awful. And
I'm glad he's not dramatic.
To go from where we came from, where it was quite an affluent business, and filmmakers would walk away with, at least a little chunk of money in their pocket to put towards whatever they were doing next. And now they kind of go, we don't want to give you anything. Just give us your stuff. And if you don't like that, screw you. And it's a bit of a shame. But I mean, the good news is that you can do it on your own now, and it's and that's massively freeing for me, I think.
Well, I think the interesting point you make is just having worked on The Night Whispered, my short film, is like really you find yourself, and I'm sure this is true for all indie filmmakers, particularly when you're starting out, is that you are doing everything. I mean, I've got editor on board, I've got composer on board, etc. But even then, it's still a question of coordinating stuff, trying to get the social media stuff on top of that.
That is a full-time job.
Yeah, I mean, like I work about 20 hours a day, and that's most of my job is just social media stuff.
Just putting stuff out on Twitter, responding to people, having conversations with people, and so on. Yeah, no, absolutely, building stuff up, and it is. And you think, hold on, I'm supposed to actually be writing today?
Yeah.
You start writing and someone will go, can you help me with this? Or can you send me a screener for this, or a review copy for this, or and before you know it, you go, what was I doing again? I'll have a sandwich. That's what I was doing, right? No, it is a lot like that, but it's such a huge part of it. I mean, we get told that that's what we do very well, although I don't know whether that's the case. But
you've no idea. You've no way of knowing how big your reach is, because people who have nice things to say don't say anything, and people who want to be really angry at you are really loud on the internet.
Yeah, so you don't. You never really know how much you're affecting people in a positive way, really.
I said that to Simon Edwards. He's doing 6 Hot Chicks in a Warehouse.
Yes.
He's done a crowdfunding
with Jessica Messenger.
He said he was he'd got some sort of negative feedback online, and I said that's because online is where the negative feedback is. People want to shout, and all the people who like what you're doing are the people who are quietly donating to your project or sharing your stuff. It's just that the negative people on the internet are really want to make themselves heard for some reason. So yeah.
So okay, well, just on that note, I'm just going to say Steve Zarebski and Jonathan Hughes. I can't spell your name, Jonathan. Sorry, bear with me. And there we are. And spell your name, Jonathan. I just can't type it. So, gentlemen, your invitations have been posted. Hopefully you'll be able to join us in a few moments. So tell us about because we're actually coming into the last quarter of hour of the show. Okay, so apart from distribution, and I think you also mentioned that your other problem is that stuff being stolen, basically downloaded illegally.
It's not so much that. It's that, like, once you start sending it to review sites and things like that, it's only a matter of time before someone sticks it on the internet, which is a massive problem, because once that happens, distributors kind of go, well, people can just watch it for free on YouTube. And you sometimes spend I'm every day I've had someone's leak Slash House on the internet and said, oh, take that down.
One of our cast on Slash House 2 said, oh, did you put it up on YouTube for free? And we were like, no, we didn't.
We said, oh, we'll give you a copy to watch before you come down. No, it's okay. I've seen it on YouTube.
It's on YouTube for free.
So it is a massive issue. But I mean, I'm not 100% anti. This will piss everybody off who's watching. I'm not 100% anti-piracy, because Slash House leaked online, and then within about 2 months, we found a Russian dub that we would have had to pay about £2,000 for. We found Spanish subtitles, which we would have had to pay about £2,000 for. We found an Arabic version, which we would have had to, I God knows how much, we didn't even look into getting something like that.
People have made foreign DVD artwork, which we stole, and, didn't steal it, because they stole it off us, and just made it all, and then sent it to the distributors that were trying to get it distributed through, to show them what it would look like.
Essentially piracy saved us a load of money, because we wanted to get it. Spain and Russia are your 2 biggest markets outside, really, of English-speaking territories for British movies, and we looked into getting these things done, and like the cost we got sent was like ridiculous, and we had to do most of the work beforehand, kind of working out timings and things like that, and and someone stole our film and did all the work for us. So
yay!
it's really interesting. Steve, we're joined by Steve Zarebski. Steve, do you want to say hi? Steve Zarebski from Canada. Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Hello.
Have you got a question for Mike and Anna?
Are any of your films on iTunes in Canada at all?
I think Slash House is available in Canada at the minute.
It's called a Slasher House, though, for some reason, because it's higher up in the alphabet, we believe. They like that.
Yeah, so they try to get higher in the alphabet by just adding an A.
I like our Canadian rating system, because we can put out unrated films no problem.
That's good. It probably hasn't been rated.
It hasn't been rated. We do have a couple of US Canada copies here, I think.
Yeah, we've got North American distribution, and it was released actually not massively long ago in Canada and North America. So hopefully.
But it definitely is on iTunes. I do know that it is there.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, hang around. Well, if you have another question, just raise your hand, and I'll bring you back on again. So we've mentioned basically the different styles of films you've been doing now with Hollower and Cleaver. Where are those at the moment? Being premiered?
Do you want to do this?
They have just been premiered at Horonsea Film Festival in Southend, and they went down pretty well, I think.
And Cleaver had its American premiere in October, I think, at the... you have to really forgive me because I've forgotten the name of the festival. It's called the Unreal Film Fest, I think.
Right.
But I can't say for definite without checking. But, I'm pretty sure it was the Unreal Film Fest. But I can't remember what town it was in now.
If Jason Harlow's watching...
He'll know.
He'll know.
He was the co-writer on the film, and it was his hometown festival. So
no one in terms of Hollower, other than. But if you say you only watched it last week, didn't you? You said so. Yes. No one bar us had watched it at all, including one of the other lead actors, until it was screened in Southend. So that was fun for him.
I think it's very interesting. I think I probably mentioned this on the show before, that I'm very much of the opinion I won't watch stuff until it's absolutely finally finished, because as an actor, you really don't want to watch your own performance until you have got any colorization or sound design particularly sorted out. And so on. There's nothing worse than watching work prints of stuff and just thinking, no, that's terrible, because it just nobody comes out well from these things.
Quite a lot of actors want to see it though. They want to see like rushes from the day and whatever.
Well, it's
you have to hide it from them so that they.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the old days, when I was making movies back in the 1980s, this is the thing. You never got the chance because, of course, it went into the can. It got developed overnight. The director watched the rushes in a screening studio the following day. We were invited in once to watch rushes. I remember it very clearly sitting with Clive, and it was the scene where Skin Frank is looking out of the window. But Doug has always said that because he was wearing so much, like Bradley wearing so much makeup as Pinhead, he really wished he had, just so that he could see how the mask reacted.
Yeah.
And how you could work. Obviously you can look at yourself. Well, he could look at himself in the mirror. I had no idea. But, yeah. I think that now, yes, do people literally just want to walk around the camera and just say, can you show me that?
Some of them just do. Some of them just do and go, play it back. Like, no. But Francesca, for instance, doesn't want to see it at all. She really doesn't want to watch. Yeah. But there's Red in Slasher House 2.
Right.
But Craig Cannon, look, like he wants to see every shot.
The stunt guys, they want to see every shot they did, every single shot, even if it's not a stunt. They just want to have a look at it. Like, did I look good in that? Did I look good in that?
And their usual opinion is, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I can imagine it more in stunt, just to kind of see how you can, did it work?
Yeah.
It's like a dancer watching themselves. It's pure.
Can't show it to you because they always want to do it again, even if it's perfect. They go, oh no, I can do that better. I can do that again. I can do that 3 times as hard.
And you don't really want stunt guys to keep doing stuff over and over again, because it's usually something horribly dangerous that you didn't want them to really have to do in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's all right. I can make it look like my neck snapped. Like,
we're good.
Just don't actually snap your neck.
Yeah. This is from Mark Logan, who
Rats guy. Yeah.
Yes, Rats guy. That's who you are now, Mark. You're Rats guy. Interesting take on piracy. Liked hearing about you utilizing the pirate-made subtitles and cover art. Did you subsequently manage to monetize any of the titles that you did that with?
Well, that's what we're working on at the minute, because we've just done a digital release of Slash House. We're now just putting together those things ready to do foreign releases.
We didn't ever send the dubbed versions yet to distributors. I sent some of the cover art, but the problem is that with non-English speaking territories, my covering letter is in English, because
Right.
I don't want to try and speak a language that I can't speak and then be disrespectful or embarrassing. So I send it in as polite and clear English as possible, but sometimes they're just not going to look at your email because it's in English and they're not.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So we're hoping if we can rip these versions, then we've at least got something that they can watch that makes sense. We hope.
But what's great about it is that we can release these now alongside our digital versions. Because like I said, you can download Slash House kind of in HD now. So now we can offer that. We can add that to the options when they're ready to go. I mean, obviously, because they're pirates, they take a little bit of tweaking. Like, you can't just take it from the internet because it's full of compression. So you have to, tear the subtitles out of it, or rip the audio from it and clean that up a little, or whatever. So it's not just. There's still a little bit of work to do, but it's.
And for all we know, it's like Google Translate.
That was the question I was going. You have no idea what that's.
I mean, we're quite lucky that we have a lot of kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Bilingual.
Bilingual. That was the word I was looking for.
Were you going to say speaky other language, friends?
Yeah, speaky other language, friends.
Speaky other language.
And we're quite lucky, so that they can look over these things for us, and just tell us that they haven't altered it dramatically to be offensive.
Right. Now, the last question that we've got coming in. Sorry, Jonathan, I have tried inviting you on. This is Jonathan Hughes, a couple of times, but you're not popping up, so it may be to do with your signal at the other end. Final question from Mark Logan, because we've managed to get through an hour already. I'm interested in how quickly you turn around a film now from idea to finished film, and what are the biggest delays in doing that, I guess?
Idea is I guess I can't really class it from idea script. Because I like some of the hello.
Oh, hello.
It's Jonathan. Yay!
Some of the ideas that we're making now, I had when I was 15 years old, and they've just the trouble is that I created this kind of universe from a larger perspective. So there's about 16 films in the overall story. So I'm kind of plucking from those at the minute. Some of them are interchangeable. Some of them we're not quite sure what they are yet, because it depends on, what's more popular and things. There's room for things like that. So to go from idea is not really, because we kind of have an idea about 2 years before we start. But from first draft to finish, it used to take us about a year. Now we've got it down to 6 months. Hollower. Apart from the one day we shot with yourself, because as not a lot of people know, we have to shoot the rest of the film again after we'd already shot it. So from shooting that to completion with the stuff we shot with you took us 6 weeks.
Right.
Well, of course, we had the script already there. But had that not been the case, I think it would have still been around the same amount of time, because I wrote the script in about 6 days. We met you on the Saturday, sent it to you on the Monday, and I think we had you on board by the end of the week. It maybe took us a couple of weeks. I'm not saying you were easy to get on, I'm not saying you were a pushover. I'm just, we got you on board quite quickly, and we were filming within a week after that. And then we had you 2 weeks after, but so had we not lost the footage, I would have said 6 weeks all in all. But it took us about 6 months because we had to shoot it twice.
Yeah, the hard drive died and we lost half the film.
Yeah, it's just. I remember talking to you at the time and going,
You
"You're just so apologetic," and I'm saying, "I'm just feel for you," because that just.
I don't think
you don't know how to tell people, especially on the first shoot of Hollower. That obviously you've seen the film, so you know there's a bit with you in it in a police station, and there's another bit that the person who's in the police station with you is talking about stuff they're remembering, which is in a flat, which we shot the first time over I think 2.5 days.
Yeah.
In the middle of summer, in a flat where we had to close the windows because of outside noise. That was basically one wall was a window. It was like being in a greenhouse under lights for 2 days. I think, our lead actress passed out at one point.
You had her like hyperventilating in a bathroom for a scene, and
she walked out and just we're like.
And she had no idea what had happened. You know, she went, "Oh, I don't know."
She was like, should we carry on? All right.
Step over her.
No, it's important to have insurance.
Seriously.
She's lovely.
She is. She was very good.
So telling them we had to do it all again was fun. It's fun.
And this kind of also speaks to the loyalty that you engender amongst the people you work with and being nice to people.
Adam, as you know, does as he's told.
Adam's a nice lad. Leave him alone.
No, he must be tortured.
Yeah. Sorry, Jonathan. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. If you'd like to unmute yourself, Jonathan, we'll make this the last question. Except we can't hear you. We can see your lips moving. You just muted, and you're not muted at my end.
If you can tell Nick, can you hear Nick?
I can't. No, I can just see his lips move.
Yeah, same.
Jonathan, try unmute.
Can you hold it up?
Sign it.
Can you tweet Jonathan? He's going to tweet it, I think. He'll just try. We'll see. No, that's just not happening at all.
Oh, there's somebody else there.
Oh, Steve's still there, but there's no. Sorry, folks, we're not getting this. Yep. Jonathan, he'll tweet us. Jonathan will just tweet us his question.
Okay.
It's just doesn't normally.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, he's disappeared. He's going to try and tweet it. Sorry, Steve, what were you saying?
I'm still here, and the Hollower is on iTunes as well.
Hollower is?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
Jonathan.
you can.
Hello.
Hollower is on iTunes, so...
That's a bit of a worry.
The first conversation, the first time with Nicholas, that it happened. No, actually, it only happened to the Oscars. They had to reboot their Google Hangout. So yeah, but everyone else could hear me except them.
Jonathan, what's your question? And we'll just come back to you in just a couple of minutes, Steve. What's your question, Jonathan?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the budgeting in their movies. What was the most expensive budget, and what was the least expensive budget for their films?
The least expensive was...
Are we allowed to say? Or will get people in trouble?
No, we're allowed to say.
Okay.
The least expensive was Hollower, because it was 3 cast members, basically, 3 main cast, over 2 locations.
2 locations, and
2 locations we already had access to. And it was basically about an agoraphobic guy who couldn't go outside. So, yay for him. And most expensive is probably going to turn out to be Slasher House 2.
Yeah.
But I think was actually Legacy of Thorn.
Yeah.
Just for because the most expensive thing I find on set is feeding people. So the more people you have, the more money you spend. We spent thousands on food and water on Legacy of Thorn, because there was just so many extras. It was a school, so there had to be school kids running around and cheerleaders and stuff.
Yeah, so when you're costuming people, if you just write in and then a bunch of cheerleaders die, you've then got to costume, 15 cheerleaders on very little money. I think we had about £250 cheerleading costume budget, which is like an exorbitant amount of money.
We went under budget on cheerleader
on a thing like this, just to spend on cheerleader costume.
Primark specials they were.
Okay, that seems a very good question. Steve, let me just bring back Steve. Let's just see if we can clarify this. Steve, do you want? What were you saying about Holler and iTunes?
I think I saw it on there. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna check again and I'll see.
Yeah, it's not been released anywhere yet.
But this is my constant worry: is I've sent it to about 4 people, and you're constantly worried about it leaking all the time. I mean,
I will check out a Slasher House when I get around to it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
Let us know what you think.
And I won't be torning it either. I don't pirate stuff.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. If you do some kind of foreign language work on it for us. That's all I ask.
It'd be kind of nice if people just ask. I think I can understand the quid pro quo of doing that, but I think just kind of talking to people first, discussing, with filmmakers, if you're going to do that, might be a good idea, and just kind of a nice thing to do. I mean, I love the fact that people are so enthusiastic.
Maybe go to their, if you do it and watch their thing, go to their website and buy something else. Go and
I think the important thing is
that for free, so I'll go and buy the next film.
If you like what people make, pay for it is really the really simple thing. If you want people to make more stuff, buy their stuff. It might, that's it. Just basic economics.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you consider that the cost of these things, online legitimately, is less than a packet of cigarettes in some cases, or a couple of drinks at the pub, you're not talking about huge investments.
No, of course not.
To get a feature film.
These things are handmade. Is the way I look at them. They're like independent film. The reason I love it so much is because it's not like if you look at Hollywood stuff, it's like a microwave meal.
Yeah.
These things are like handcrafted, home cooked food. They really are. They're made with that kind of love and attention. And I think.
And they're definitely proper team efforts. Like your whole cast and crew feel every bit of pain and anguish and joy and happiness and stuff.
Yeah.
When they get to finally see it, it's more of an emotional thing, because everybody sort of pulls together and everybody does it, and it feels like a team effort.
I think you must feel, yes, because you've got a much smaller team. If you're just thinking about huge, it's not that the people who work on big Hollywood blockbusters don't care, because you just look at some of the quality of the work and it's obvious that they care and they spend hours. The guys who do CGI on these things, it actually takes a lot of hard work to do that. But of course, you look at the list of credits and you know that most of these people are never going to meet each other.
That's more of the thing. It's the kind of it's the few people making something with blood, sweat, tears, and just.
Because no one's paying them for that. No one's kind of giving them somewhere nice to stay or anything. Like, we sleep on factory floors and all sorts when we shoot.
Just by choice.
Yeah. It really is like it's out of choice. It's out of pure choice. It's out of not choice, out of need to do it. I think it's. Is what it comes down to when you talk about indie films. Is it you just have to do it, even if that means that you're going to be cold and hungry and not shower for 2 weeks because you're living in a prison or an abandoned school or whatever. You're just going to do what it takes to get it done. I think I think that's important to support.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Cool. All right. Well, listen, we've come to the end of our time. Where I've got the link to the website on the YouTube show and so on. So that's Mycho.
Yep.
If people just MYCHO.
If you search it on Google or go to mycho.co.uk or slasherhouse.com or legacyofthorn.com, you can purchase away and help us eat this week. And No, but and just support what we're doing. You know, everything we earn goes back. You know, it's our life really. Everything that we make goes back into just making more and more stuff. You know.
Our Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign is still in demand as well for Slasher House
so
2.
if you want,
and we've got 2 stretch goals on there for a new Thorn movie and another brand new Mycho movie called The Violent Dark. So you can also look at that.
Yeah,
if you
you know,
like.
you can pre-order those and support the film, and there's producer credits on there, and you can donate, and you get loads of stuff in return. It's all really good, honestly. It's brilliant.
I will share the pages then.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Steve. Brilliant, guys. Listen, I'm going to wind up the show now. So thank you very much indeed for coming on.
That's okay.
Thank
you for having
You're welcome.
us.
No, thank you.
I'm hopefully I'll get to actually meet you again in the flesh, so to speak, sometime soon, because I haven't seen you for ages.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It feels like the same.
We should have a Hollywood cast and crew party.
We should do. We should do.
We will.
In a really small interview room.
Yeah. in our house.
Yeah, that would probably be more. Yeah. I should look forward to that. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Chattering with Nicholas Vince, and I've been chattering with Mike Dixon and Anna McCarthy of Mycho Entertainment. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I'll be back in a couple of weeks' time when I'm going to be talking with Izzy Lee. Check out the links on the YouTube. Support these guys, and I just wish everybody a very happy chocolate-filled Easter.